started, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do out here. Welcome back to Salty Country. This evening I'm going to get out here, and this hill behind me, I'll turn around here in a second and you can see it a little bit better. But it's right here next to my carport, between the carport and the shed. I'm going to get out here and start cutting this out with the excavator. I've ordered a load of 57 stone to arrive tomorrow. So we got to start working on this. It looks like we're going to have rain possibly tomorrow and the next day. So I'm going to get as far as I can this evening. It may take a few episodes for us to capture what all I'm going to do here. But here shortly, I'm going to get the excavator fired up, move the Suburban that's in the background out of the way, and we'll get started on it. But before we get started, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do out here. All right, here's the carport to the shed. Here's this hump I'm going to cut out. I'm going to cut this out so that we can park the Suburban here beside the carport. And then I'm going to gravel this entire area. And then I'm going to come on around this way. This hump still kind of carries around. We used to have a circle drive here in front of the shed, kind of circled around in front of our garages. But as you can see, I'm kind of down by the driveway right now, by the gravel. It's probably a 2-foot rise or so. So I'm going to take this hump out, and I'm going to carry this dirt from this area around here behind the shed. Walk around here. I'm going to carry it back here behind the shed. I'll make a pile with the excavator, then I'll take the T300 and move it around here. But right here where all these weeds have started coming up, the slope kind of goes over toward the chicken coop. There's a peach tree there. I'm going to see if I can get that peach tree kind of pushed back up. When I took all the other trees out, that peach tree had grown out of the trees so it could get sunlight. So I'm going to try to get that thing braced back up. But the goal is to put in a chicken coop that goes 16 foot out. So I've got to build this shoulder up right here, add some dirt to it. But we cleaned this, all this area here was all real thick with trees and debris and weeds and all that. So we cleaned this up in the fall. And I want to talk real quick. This is not anything political, so don't take it that way. But in the country, if you do something to nature, it starts healing itself quickly. If you live in a city surrounded by concrete and asphalt, no. You may get the weeds that come up in between the joints of asphalt and concrete. That's nature trying to re-heal itself. But it doesn't take long out here in the country for a spot to take off and start growing back. Like right here, yeah, it's got a bunch of weeds here, but right here's a little oak. Here's a sweet gum tree that's already popped back up. And you know, that sweet gum right there is probably 2 foot tall. If I left that alone, next year it would be 5 or 6 foot tall. So nature has a way of healing itself, and if people stay out of the way, it'll take itself right back over. But yeah, here's the area behind the house. Still haven't taken the pool down. We've gotten cleaned up some around it in the episode, but yep, we're going to get the pool taken down at some point. But I've bush hogged all of this the pasture. You can kind of see through the distance right here. It had gotten probably knee high in just weeds and different stuff, so I bush hogged over there. But yeah, I need to run the bush hog through some of this stuff here too and just kind of cut it down. But yeah, nature quickly heals itself. I have not put any grass seed or anything down. All I did was come back in here after we took all the trees out, and this area right here is coming back. Some grass, mainly a lot of weeds, but it's coming back. And this has only been probably 4 or 5 months since we took all these trees out, and this is what nature's done to heal itself. But yep, we're gonna get to going on this project this evening, so stick around. I'll get the excavator fired up. We'll get to work. Okay, I'm mic'd up today so I can talk while I'm out here working this evening. Alright, my goal is to get this where this right here drains good still. And I have like a sloping ramp into the shed, so I'm going to pile this up behind myself. Some of this has Bermuda growing in it. When we first did the house here, I took Bermuda sod scraps from a project I was doing, and we put the scraps out here and made a beautiful yard with these scraps. It looked like a jagged puzzle when we first put it together, and we watered it every day, and it turned out nice. But all the other grass and weeds and competition, and me taking the circle drive out, this area right here used to continue to kind of slope up. We had a island right here that had some bushes in it. You could drive through here by the garage, or you could come around the island the other way and pull over here and park. So as we've evolved this area over the years, oops, I see a extension cord. This is my old junky extension cord that I use to drag out in the yard and charge stuff here and there, do whatever. So I need to kind of leave it out here. All right. The goal is to cut this out low enough so when we put the gravel in, that any water will drain through it. So stone has gotten really expensive, like everything else in life. Inflation is horrible right now, but anyway, right now if you want to do stuff like this, you got to pay the price. So I'll let everyone chime in the comment section and give your prediction of what I had to pay for one load, 18 to 19 tons of 57 stone. And then in the next video, I'll share what that load cost me. Just taking my time. I'll get the T300 out here and dress this up. The main goal this evening is to get it to where I can put rock back on it tomorrow, if it don't rain. If it rains, then we're going to be down for a few days. If it rains consistently. Now, if we get a shower for an hour or two and the sun pops back out, this Georgia red clay dries up quickly. So there is some stone in this because this used to be the driveway. I jokingly used to tell people I couldn't get grass to come up in my yard, but it come up in my driveway better. And there is some truth to that, but I think it's actually the lime that's in the gravel maybe that helps the grass. But anyway, grass does like to come up in gravel here, and we don't use any pesticides, no Roundup, none of that. So we got chickens that we let out, grandbabies come down and play, and we just don't want any chemicals in the yard, because everything that's on the market is not necessarily good for you, even though it's approved for people to use it. I'm going to kind of get this parking area cut out like I want. Then I'll blend in the slope area going up to the shed. All right, let me back up just a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to try to mic up on a lot of the videos that we do in the future. We got a lot of positive feedback from the videos where I'm mic'd up and I can talk while I'm working. It gets kind of boring when you're sitting there just watching somebody dig, and which, it, you know, it's, to some people, it's still interesting. I got a lot of folks on YouTube that I follow, great channels. You know, they'll play music and stuff like that and speed their video up. But I like watching grading. I've been in construction for years, so to me it's kind of calming to watch somebody on a piece of equipment changing the landscape. So this ground is hard. We haven't had very much rain here the last couple weeks. The one thing that I like about Florida compared to here is if I have to dig a hole in Florida, it's a piece of cake. Everything's sand or sandy. I could probably dig, if I was going to dig with the post hole diggers, I could probably dig 5 holes in Florida, or maybe even 10 holes for every 1 hole you dig in this red clay. This stuff is hard. You may see the chickens running through at some point. We let them out every afternoon or every evening when we get home from work, from our real jobs, and they run around the yard, eat bugs. We've got our older chickens. We've got 3 hens and a rooster that are our older group. A couple of the hens, especially one of the hens, sat on eggs pretty much from April till a week or so ago, and we finally had to just take the eggs away, the remaining eggs away. She was hatching off baby chicks, but we got enough chickens. Melody had got 6 from the ag department at school. They hatched off a bunch of baby chicks and they sell them every year. So we had gotten 6 back in probably February time frame, and a couple of those hens are starting to lay now. They look full grown if you look at them, but they're probably going to grow a little bit more. But then we had 4 more babies that our hens hatched that had grown. They were big enough to go out in the coop. We call them teenagers when they get to that stage of growth. And we were in Florida. You know, we have feeders and automatic waters and stuff like that for them. We were in Florida during the 4th of July, and something got into their chicken coop and killed all 4 of them. It drug one of them out, kind of eat his internal organs and left the rest of the chicken. And then the other ones they left in the coop, and had basically done the same thing. Eat their insides and just basically left all the feathers. So I don't really know what it was, but it was big enough to collapse in the wire on the coop door. So anyway, we got back from Florida and had to repair that coop. When we left, we had 4 or 5 babies that the hens had raised, hatched off. Matter of fact, they hatched off 2 baby chicks the day that we were going to leave. So it was interesting. So we had some week-old, 2-week-old, and 1-day-old chicks. And we, you know, the phrase pecking order comes from chickens. They have a pecking order. So we didn't know if the baby chicks were going to be, the 1-day-old chicks were going to do all right, if the other ones were going to peck them and hurt them and kill them or whatever. So anyway, my son that lives next door, they were out of town. I think they were in St. Louis. And so 2 or 3 days later after we left, they were back home, and they came over and checked on them, and all of them were fine. So all those babies have done well. We keep them in a foot tub, metal foot tub with a wire top on it, and typically we'll do it in the spring. We'll have a lot, but it had gotten summertime, so we had stopped turning the light on at night, which I don't like to do when you got 1-day-old chicks, but we did. We left the light off, and the baby chicks were able to huddle up with the bigger chicks, and they were fine. So all this dust, you can tell it's dry. This would be a good field back behind the shed, so I can extend that slope out. Just taking my time, get this somewhat close to grade. The goal is get this area all right here, gravel, and then our turnaround spot that's right out here, put a little bit more stone on that so it goes a little bit further back. But we'll see how far that load of stone goes. I like 57 stone versus crush and run. 57 will let the rain drain through it. Crush and run, it'll develop puddles in it and low spots and all that kind of stuff, and it's more maintenance. Now, the Amazon drivers, for the most part, can't drive worth 2 cents in gravel. We've come home and the driveway's been all torn up where they've gotten stuck on flat ground. A lot of people don't know where you're on gravel. Don't sit there and turn your wheels all the way from one side to the other side and not be moving, because your wheels dig in to the gravel when you do that. Just always remember, if you're on gravel, be moving a little bit while you're turning, especially if you're on a hill or anything like that. But yeah, they've gotten stuck out here a couple times. It's kind of comical, but same thing at my son's. His area behind his house is flat, and they still get stuck over there too. Right along this knob of this hill that I'm going to be cutting out, and not get it over in the other areas where it's got grass already. Try to cover as much of this back up as I can with stone. The excavator and the Bobcat both have been a great investment out here on the farm. I've got probably, just up in this area, I've probably cleaned up 3 acres, maybe 4. Got another probably 3 or 4 acres up here to clean. Pine trees are really my biggest enemy as I grade. Those things They come up everywhere. It's kind of hazy this afternoon. Be interesting to see if that rain moves in early. Okay, this area here is looking good. I don't want this video to get too long, so it's probably going to be part 2 and possibly a part 3 to this. So I'm probably going to wind it down here in a minute, and I got to get back over here. There's probably a foot cut right there where the chickens are, so I got to kind of slope that over to my shed, make it a gradual slope so I can get rock on that. But yeah, it's coming together pretty good. I want to thank everyone for watching. We'll see you on the next one when we continue with this project in part 2.